the drops and they'll come thick and fast. The episodes.
Serious, you guys.
Boys, tumesema hizi jokes zi.
You're recording already?
Yeah, we are recording.
Okay. 3, 2.
Episode 32, part 2 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the 3 Quarters podcast. Today we are shooting from Kilimani, and we want to start by thanking our hosts for giving us this chance to shoot episode 32, which will be dropping in the course of the week on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. We start by thanking the viewers, the followers, the subscribers for taking your time to watch an episode of the 3 Quarters podcast. And on behalf of the great team that's the 3 Quarters podcast, all we can say ni asanteni na shukran sana. With every passing day, the Rugby World Cup in Japan draws closer. That's the Rugby World Cup 2019. As a matter of fact, the Kenya Simbas have already started what's going to be the basis for the Rugby World Cup qualifiers that's going to be happening next year, 2018. We think that these guys need to be at the Rugby World Cup in Japan in 2019 after narrowly missing the Rugby World Cup in England in 2015. We do think that they're going to make it there, but they need our support. And how do we support them? Jump onto the Road to Japan hashtag to support these boys, because the truth and the fact of the matter is that the Kenya Simbas are the superstars. They do right, our stature in the game of rugby grows. They do wrong, we're in problems. This is Ngashi, official noisemaker.
Jeringus Kenyana.
And I'm Demima Duffield. So, who is our bad guy of the week?
I think our bad guys is all the players that vie for this. I think really competing, having had a very fantastic game, because we had our fast center,
Yes.
Leo Seje.
Yeah.
It was quite brilliant in his runs and his offload, and you could see the brilliance in his game.
Yeah.
It's quite mature
Yeah.
as well. But and also I must give a nod to the forwards as well. It's a big improvement for the last test match that we've watched. Yeah. But our bad guy of the week is Isaac Adimo. You could see him marshalling the game quite well, and his attack was brilliant.
Yeah.
If there's no other word to describe it, he was really fantastic on the day. Controlled the pace of the game very well, and really entertained us with his fancy moves and the passes as well.
You know, having had a chat with Isaac Adimo, he's somebody who understands the role of a flyer very well. Like he says, being the flyer, if you're not the superstar, your work is to make everyone else a superstar. Yeah. And he did that very well yesterday. He was putting guys into gaps, guys were breaking lines, and it was all of his work. Of course, he didn't get the mention, he didn't get the man of the match after the game, but I think he understood the role very well. And as I keep saying, fine, that's his job, but you don't get fired for doing your job well. So I do agree with you. He was actually the bad guy of the week.
All right, now we move on to Rugby 101, which is a segment where we educate you on all matters rugby, be it on the pitch, off the pitch, technical terms, and, any rugby lingo. Take us through that.
Off the pitch. So anyway, Rugby 101. Today we are going to be we're still on line-out infringements. And today we're going to be at the offside at the line-out. So in the line-out, you have two sets of guys. You have the participants and the non-participants. The participants are the forwards, and the non-participants are the backs. So, there are two sets of offside lines, for the participants and for the non-participants. So for the participants, it's a ball, and it's a hooker, and the hooker basically, because he's the one who has the ball. So you draw an imaginary line through the tunnel of the line-out. If you cross that line, then you're offside. That's for the participant. For the non-participant, it is 15 meters behind your line, your set of forwards. So you have your set of forwards drawn up there. 15 meters behind that, that's where the offside line is for the non-participants. So I guess that's our Rugby 101 topic for today, man.
Sanction is?
Sanction is a full penalty. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Yes.
Now on to the Simba Focus, which is where we look at the Kenya Simbas on their international season, basically, and looking at the Kenya Simbas as a brand. What are your thoughts on that?
To be honest, I don't think we're milking. The union is milking the brand. Kenya Simbas, whether it's Simba ni Moja, whatever it is to do with the Kenya Simbas, I think these guys should even be having a mascot, for lack of a better word. They should be having some form of representation for the Kenya Simbas in this international season, because what we have been able to establish, and those who've been in rugby for a long time can know that the social aspect of rugby goes hand in hand with the game. Therefore, I think fine, you have the game, but you can also milk some money from commercializing the Simba brand. So I think that's where the union is failing, and I don't think they even have a department that handles that, to be honest.
I highly doubt.
Yes, and I think they should put some emphasis on that. That's my opinion.
Well, I think I'll agree with you that they haven't milked it to the fullest. However, I give a nod to Sport Pesa when it comes to the t-shirts, especially the jerseys, Kenya Simba jerseys. You can see them giving it to fans as well. If you're betting and all, you get a t-shirt free and all. That's a good step, because you can see a lot.
Even.
Yeah, I even have a band as well. I got a band with the Kenya Rugby as well, the Simbas.
Yeah.
And you could see in the stadium, the venue, you could see a lot of red t-shirts, brand Sport Pesa, the Simbas t-shirts. So they can only get better. They can only go up. Yeah.
All right, and as we know, Safari Sevens returns to RFUEA. What are your thoughts on that? So we'll start with you, Ngus.
Well, I think the guys for the Shere fans are quite happy. They may be quite happy with that decision. However, it may be good and bad. It may be good and bad in this sense. The good will have more people coming, as opposed to what has been happening the last 3-4 years, when it moved to Nyayo Stadium first and then Kasarani. We'll have more guys coming in, but the bad thing would be this: if they maintain the venue as is right now and host the sevens, it may be terrible for the fans. It may be a terrible experience for the fans who are there to watch the game, because you can't spend a full day standing while you're watching rugby, and you're here to watch rugby. So that, in that sense, I think it may be bad to bring it back. But should they upgrade the venue, it may be fantastic.
I think the biggest thing that Safari Sevens lost when it moved from Gong Road, forget about that stuff about, the home of rugby is on Gong. I don't believe in that. I mean, even the more developed nations, whenever it becomes a logistical nightmare, you have to move the home of whatever sport it is. So the biggest thing that we lost when we moved here was there were two things. Number one, proximity to the ground. Therefore, that close interaction with the players. Number two, the village. Because the village is a very good, from a social perspective, it was very good for the Safari Sevens. There are very many people, I can bet you, again, excuse the pun, 3/4 of the people who are there did not go to sevens because of the rugby. They were there for the social aspect of the game. So that's the biggest thing that it lost. But I'll be honest and say, RFUEA is a logistical nightmare. If these are the numbers we are handling for a 15th game, I can only imagine the numbers that we are going to be seeing for a 7th game.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the fact that you've talked about the fan experience. You've talked about the fact that, capacity-wise, it just, at the moment, does not make sense. But looking at something more serious, what would you say in terms of security? I mean, like a place like Kasarani, you've got multiple gates. If you need to evacuate people, it'll be quick, it'll be easy, it'll be swift. But I mean, Gong Road, the traffic, first of all, just getting in, whether it's foot traffic, cars, it's going to be a nightmare. But what do you think about that?
You bring in a very valid point. I'd not even thought about that. Like Kasarani has multiple gates,
and multiple checks as well,
and multiple checks.
In.
So does Nyayo Stadium. But then here, you guys just engage from one gate, Chomoka from one gate. What happens now? One tiny gate. That's what I'm saying. It's a logistical nightmare. From a social perspective, I think it's good for it to come back here. But RFUEA and Kenya Harlequins, because they're the ones who have the least now, need to do a hell lot of work before the Safari Sevens in November, I think, November 4th and 5th.
Yep, I think we can all agree on that. Now, moving on to the international test, we had the British and Irish Lions versus New Zealand this past weekend, and that ended in a draw. What are your thoughts on that game?
Well, I think they shared the spoils, despite NZ winning on aggregate. But it's a good showing from the British and Irish Lions. I think they gave them a run for their money. I didn't expect them to win the second game, actually. I had written them off, considering having lost the first test. But these guys came back and had a very good showing in the last game. 15-15 is no joke against the All Blacks. This is a team that has 4 teams ready to play against you. So, that's why they had to come with 4 countries to face the 4 teams. But it's a good showing from the BNI.
From the BNI Alliance. I'd like to correct you. Actually, now the trophy is going to be shared by teams. There was actually a joke that Kieran Reid was telling the British and Irish Lions captain Sam Warburton that I'll give you for the first 6 years, then give me for the second 6 years before we meet again. But my biggest issue, number one, is guys need to realize, and I think we've had this debate with you and Goose, Buden Barrett is not yet there. That's the first thing. Because as I was saying, he was taking over from Dan Carter, somebody who was very poised, who was very cool, who was very calm and collected, somebody who could actually work it out during the crunch time. And British and Irish Lions was all about crunch time. This is a three-test series, winner takes all. Now you have a draw. But the good thing about this is that I think the All Blacks are also getting cocky and complacent, and I'll say this as an All Blacks fan, also being a fan, who are getting cocky and complacent. Yeah, so I think it was a good thing that this happened, and therefore it's a wake-up call for the All Blacks. I just want to see what's going to happen during the Rugby Championships, because I think they're going to turn on them. Yes, but anyway, let's wait and see how
South Africa.
let's wait and see how that pans out.
All right, and now on to Super Rugby. Take us through the highlights.
So the results of the Super Rugby: we had the Queensland Reds beat the ACT Brumbies 16-15 last-minute penalty by Quade Cooper. We had the Western Force beat the Melbourne Rebels 31-22. We had the Waratahs lose to the Jaguares 27-40. We had someone's team, the Bulls, lose to the Kings 30-31. And of course, our partners in South Africa, the Kenya Simba partners, the Stormers, DHL Stormers, beating the Sun Wolves 52-15. As always, we ask you guys to join us on the 3 Quarters Podcast Fantasy League. The code and the URL should be running at the bottom of your screen right now. Join us. Let's see if you guys can actually coach. Watu ni machesko ama tu ni kuongea wanaongeanga bana.
That's it for part 2. Nash, tell them where to find us.
Of course, you can like us on our Facebook page, you can follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is Nash, your official noisemaker.
Jerry Goose Kenyana.
Stay tuned for episode 32, part 3. I'm Demima Duffield.
Bobby!